ChatGPT has over 850 million users, and as these coding agents are getting so good, it has never been easier to just prompt yourself a ChatGPT app. So to show you the power of this, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be using a tool called Fractal to turn a GPT into a ChatGPT app, and I'm just going to do it with a couple of prompts. And this is really interesting because the GPT Store was actually almost a first ideation of what a ChatGPT App Store could look like, but it's such a good indication of what use cases people actually are interested in, which GPTs are getting the most usage, what things do people love doing inside ChatGPT, and then you can turn these into ChatGPT apps to leverage the opportunity of this new app store and all of these hundreds of millions of users. So if you stick to the end of this video, you would have built your first ChatGPT app within the next 15 minutes. So for those people that might know less about ChatGPT apps, OpenAI launched back in the mid-December its actual app store going live. So that means that anyone can apply to actually get an app live within the app store. Now, this is something that is actually different from a GPT. And the reason for that is because it is actually a UI component that will be visualized directly within the chat window. So if I click on Adobe Acrobat here, you can see here you tag an app and then it will come up with an actual visual, for example, in this case, of you merging a PDF. So it's much more than a GPT. If I just go to ChatGPT here, you can actually get your GPTs if you just go to this side box. And then within here, these are more of the sort of standard GPTs that you get. Now, these are more text-based, and actually there are some really interesting use cases here. Canva have got one, NVIDIA have got one, Canva's got one. And a lot of the stuff is around research and getting stats. You've got some fitness apps. Really, people have thought of loads of use cases, education. And if I just show you one, so if I go to this Scholar GPT, for example, if you first of all, first piece is they're used by so many people. So over 200,000 reviews, and you can just start a chat directly with it. And the idea here is that it's trained on a specific source of information. So it actually is more verified in this instance, as it's actually trained on real data. And you can see here, get me the latest research on AI, and then it's going to go and access that trained database, which could also be an API or anything that you've trained it on, and then actually be able to better, answer. I'll just always allow in this instance. So it's now actually going to go and talk to that GPT and then break back an answer. But you'll notice this is text-based, right? It isn't UI, it isn't interactive. It is just this type of response. Now, the difference here with ChatGPT apps is that you can actually, for the first time, get an interactive widget directly within ChatGPT. So if I click on this AllCore app, for example, then what I can do, I'm directly in my ChatGPT here. I can say, AllCore, show me hotels in London for tonight. And then rather than me just getting a list of different hotels, what's cool is that I can actually get a UI to help me. Now, this is great in this exact example because you can actually see it visually. You can actually get a much more useful response, because if you just get a list, you can't really understand the hotel, you can't see it, you don't know where it is that exactly. Here, I can actually just get this live, interactive map of London. Where do I want to stay? Maybe near Hyde Park somewhere. And I can then, even open it up full screen and then start to click around and see the images. Now, you can see that this is therefore, much more, interactive and a better experience in this instance than just getting something in text. So what's amazing is that you now have this app experience within ChatGPT. And the reason so many people are excited about this is because as these AI agents, these chatbots become so much more capable, there's less and less reason to leave. So you will have, more of the applications that fit inside of it, more of the users that fit inside of it. And therefore, it's a really, really good opportunity for builders that actually want to build these apps. And then you can see here, if you go to appdiscoverability.com/track, you can actually see here how many apps are now, appearing every single day. So we track this. This is our live dashboard. You can see 195 apps are now present. And you can even see here all of the apps that are now being released. So many that you'll recognize. Meetup is obviously a huge company. Lowe's in retail. Voyage Privé, which is in the hospitality and travel space as well. HubSpot, Wix, Udemy. So there's a lot of interesting companies here. And this is really just some of them. So if I go to here, you can actually start to see like all of the companies that you'll recognize that are being present here. And I won't go through them all, but if you go to chatgpt.com/apps, then you will start to see, which companies are actually present. And there's so many of the big brands that are testing in this space. Now, the thing to then think about would be, well, actually, if you go back to the GPTs, part of the reason why, they're interesting is because it actually was almost the first iteration of this. You can see Expedia, they had a GPT, they've now got a ChatGPT app. Canva, they had a GPT, they now had a ChatGPT app. Same with, in video. And actually what these GPTs show is they show you what people really like. For example, getting approved research in ChatGPT, this is something that's got 200K ratings. This is huge. It's a really big use case, the 38 million conversations. So I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you own a GPT like Scholar GPT, this is an amazing opportunity because you have something that's working and you know that the ChatGPT audience likes it. Now you want to figure out a way, okay, how can I get this as a ChatGPT app? And then, it's then what is the easiest and best way for me to do that? There's then another use case, which is if you're thinking about ChatGPT apps and use cases that might be interesting, then this is a great place to start because all of these GPTs have a lot of users, a lot of traction, and you can look up the ones that do, and then you can actually say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Maybe the use case I had in mind is interesting, or maybe it helps you to shape up what your use case could better be. The final one is to say, actually, because these are done well and they're structured well, you can actually just take one of these and you can actually copy the link. So what that allows you to do is take that link and then use it to help inspire and create a use case around what a ChatGPT app could be. And it is so easy to convert one of these GPTs into a ChatGPT app. I'm going to show you how to do that today. So if I type in fitness, we've already got that search up and running. We can take one of these like fitness ones, for example, and then build an app around it. So if let's take this one, for example, this has got 4.6, so high rating. And then what you can do is you can just literally click copy link. Now, the thing we're going to do, like I mentioned, is it's literally converting one of these GPTs into a ChatGPT app. And so the way that we want to do that is by using one of these powerful coding agents. And the one we're going to use today is a company called Fractal. Now, Fractal is great because what Fractal allows you to do is basically do all of this with no coding experience. So it's really, really easy. You can actually take one of these links. So take a link of any GPT and then just say, turn this into a ChatGPT app. Now, I'm going to call it GPT to ChatGPT app, fitness. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the coding agent is going to go away. It's going to analyze that link, and then it's going to come back with basically a whole new version of what this could look like as a ChatGPT app. So I'm going to let it work, and then we're going to come back to basically view what is actually built. Great. And then one of the key things great. And now the agent's got to work. I can actually see that it's found the information on the GPT and it's understood that it's a fitness and health coach. And then what it does is it first of all basically understands the use case and then creates use cases. And the reason that's important is because these use cases are basically the intents that someone would have in ChatGPT. So like, create me a strength training plan. What should I eat to help me lose muscle, these kind of things. So you can just approve these or you can add more. I'm going to click next. I'm going to let it run through. And then what it's going to do is ChatGPT apps are made of tools. So tools are basically the features almost of the application. And tools are basically every time someone gives a prompt, the benefit of a ChatGPT app is if someone asks you, create me a 4-week strength training plan, you're not just going to get a load of text. You're actually going to get a tool which can serve you UI. And so this has the opportunity to be much more interactive because it can actually come with a visual as well. Now here, what it's done is it's actually aligned to those use cases, told you what it's going to do. So here it's actually going to create the plan and then it's going to pass that on to the tool for visual display, which is great because it means that we then have the opportunity to turn that into a visual. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can then iterate on basically the way it's understanding using a tool and then displaying that back. And then the next thing that it wants you to basically do is understand where the data is coming from. So in this instance, you have a couple of options. First of all, if you just want to understand and prototype and look at, okay, is this going to be an interesting use case? You can just use mock data. What that means is that Fractal is then going to just literally create data that you can then use. If you have data, let's say, for example, let's say you have a GPT. Maybe you want to use a data source that you created, or you wanted to mock up your own data set to be specific. You could just add a Google Sheet link, which is quite interesting for some people. Others, it might actually be fetch an API. Now, you might either have the API if you're already running this business, or you want to do a web search to understand the API. In this instance, I'm actually just going to click mock data because I think I'm doing it on the instance of I want to see what it's like if I was to turn this GPT into a ChatGPT app. So what it's then going to do is it's actually going to literally mock up data. So, and then the final piece basically is that once it knows the data source, it's basically going to take all of those components and then just give us sort of the final stage of this planning period, which is basically we just need to approve the full plan that it's created so that it can go ahead and get it built. So here we go. It said no authentication. Yeah, I don't want anything to log in. I do want the storage because we know that we need some sort of like workout log that they understand. It's chosen 5 different tools. So these are the things it's going to serve. So it's going to display a workout plan, display nutrition advice, log workout, etc. So these are the different widgets. You can refine and update these. You can prompt here to follow up. I'm just going to approve the plan and we can get the agent building. So that is literally the planning process. So that's basically taken us the whole way through taking that GPT. Literally all I need to do is copy a link, and then it is basically turning that into the full ChatGPT app. Now this takes a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll resume once we've got our app built. Great. So as you can see here, it's created 5 tools, which is really good to see. And then what I can do here is actually you get this preview section, which basically is a mock-up of what it will actually look like in ChatGPT. So it's really good. You don't have to like deploy it to ChatGPT to test it. You can actually test the whole thing within Fractal. So if I click on one of these, let's say like create me a routine. So bench press, shoulder press. You can see here it's now, because I've said create routine, it's then invoking this create routine tool. And then perfect. So I can see here it's like immediately created the routine. It's got some little icons here, and then it's got me exercises sets, and then actually I can click into full detail. Now that's cool because what this does is this actually gives me a little bit on technique, weights I should be considering and stuff like this. So you can see here, it's a basic overview, but why it's interesting is it's really just so quick to help to visualize what this could look like. Now this just gives me so much inspiration for how you could imagine, like imagine if you gave this the full image library, the full customization, loads of information about workouts, you could create such a customized view. Like for example, maybe I could say, I also want to train my legs. Can you incorporate some leg exercises? And so this is an example of what someone would actually prompt, right? So you can see here, this will basically help us to test, is it able to actually add in different exercises if I want it? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you can see here, it's actually added in that squat section. So now I can see at the bottom, I can add in, actually cool. It's added in squats and it's added in leg press and lunges. Very cool. So actually, and it's given me basically different ways for me to look at that and do that. If I scroll down, then, okay, so it's got plus exercises rather than scrolling on the right-hand side. So this is really cool. And I think, again, such a good use case for showing you just how quickly you could actually get one of these GPTs into a ChatGPT app and then really just test how this thing actually works. So I wanted to just highlight that today because I think for anyone that's getting inspiration from GPTs, for anyone that wants to build a ChatGPT app, starting with a GPT is actually such a good idea. And then you can use a platform like Fractal to actually begin to test and understand what a ChatGPT app could look like before you literally just click deploy and get it submitted directly to the App Store. So there you go. That's less than 15 minutes to take a GPT all the way into being a ChatGPT app, where when you're in Fractal, all you need to do is you just click deploy, and then you're able to go into ChatGPT, into the submission section directly within your API platform, and then you can get that submitted. So I've got another video on that, and I will share that so everyone has that access in the comments. But hope you found that useful. I'm very excited about people being able to turn all the GPTs that have been created into ChatGPT apps. I think it's an awesome idea. And if you've got any questions, just shout out. Also, if you're someone that's got a ChatGPT app and you're wanting to get it discovered, definitely check out appdiscoverability.com. And if you do want to work with Fractal, I know they've got a discount code. So we will share that discount code in the comments. And then you can actually get 20% off building with Fractal as well, which is pretty cool. So just ping me in the comments or directly if you've got any questions. Happy to chat anytime.